Orange and robbery case. I say, my dear. Yes, even crampon and pennyphonum binum, Sabium pennyphonum binum. Politicians in Mubino. Our decision be now, Omoya air wrong, no, the reasons is Jimmy. And this is here, there's all your gun, Memphis, and Quanquaya reason. Way beyond Fanquaya, if you're Conia Cochwabaka Jim say, eh, Jimmy. You're moving on to the next story. One of the stories this week is trendy, and I think that something we've been talking about it for some time is the free SHS. Yes. A year MPP are buying during the time of campaign. They came up. It was one of the main things that we were talking about during the campaign. Na a year Professor Diamonds and na a year away from a University of Ghana. Waba out captions need the because free SHS is only producing quality, not quantity. A review quantity, not quality. A year review by Professor Adai Mensah. Na memma a little bit background, kakra FI pay and semia or say. Government must find alternative funding for free SHS. Former Minister Akufo-Addo has no intention. Say me stories in the cry ajame, but okay story no equatura. The prof can you say a free SHS no buy no why papa abua mom, but in terms of resourcing, some time now Bismarck a little bit of background. One of the things okay is a business school. The resourcing is so poor in Ghana, and yes, it cry just as no crampon buy and into me resource na Professor Prof Ademansan or six SHS have produced 50% of students for UG medical schools and in 8 years. In a year 8 years, year for SHS or de buy a year school, secondary school, makuma 6 pet. And I'll call Ghana Medical School or metume produce a school for my bay a doctor for now they are Canadian. Let me give you a little bit of insight. Also, 6 high schools have proven dormant in producing students who makes the cut to attend the University of Ghana Medical School. According to the former Vice Chancellor of UG, Professor Ivan Adai Mensah, these schools have contributed to 50% of the over 1,270 students who have been trained as medical doctors over the period of 7 years. In an interview with Accra Joy News on the gains of the school of origin on 60 years of medical education, Professor Adai Mensah lamented the number of SHS schools that have produced medical doctors in the last decade. And now, by schools, a bit is Wesley Girls. Yeah, precisely gonna Chimota and Fansipim, Holy Child, and Prempe in brackets in the fifth position. And see, and you must say, and up na already other caption na yen share free SHS no by in terms of quality of populace ya produce yes share prof analysis yes I mean my memfa and share as your home. Do you think this phrase has it been a success or is still at the 13 period, even though it's been 8 years?
It's been 5 years.
Okay, Manenko.
So it's about 5
years.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. Manenko.
Yeah, or maybe 6 years near 5 to 6 years, yeah. 6 years. So by now, the issue with success with this free SHS, I mean, it depends on the thoughts that the angle that you want to come in terms of what you. I mean, if you are in government, you could make a case for the success of it by purely just looking at the numbers of enrollment onto the senior high schools, and therefore the measure of success with regards to numbers can be something that you could perhaps say, make an argument, say yes, enrollment wise, there has
But
been
you
quite a lot.
enrolling so Obico school and not about out no about employable and it's two different things.
On the so me what the analysis on what the thought could be based on the perspective that you come, with the argument that you make, and as I did say, government can make a case say we have increased enrollment because ideally it's people that will perhaps not have been on in education, at that level now can go without necessarily having to pay for it. So with those sort of arguments, you could perhaps make a case for it. But then again, the other aspect of it is in regards to, as you rightly mentioned, it's not only about the numbers, it's about what comes out of the numbers that you have in terms of the areas of the economy that you want to push them towards. And therefore, 5 years down the line, the expectations are the people that are now that started the SHS will be at the university, and therefore when they finish university, chances say yeah, they might be entrepreneurial. I don't know. I'm just making an argument. Say you might push them into different aspects of the economy, and if that does happen indeed now, so let's say more people go to university than previously, they come out, more of them felt that there is no job, so we don't want to create our own jobs. Then they start creating enterprises. Then maybe that also helps the economy. So in the long term, you could make a case and look at those sort of arguments. But then the quality aspect that Professor Dai did allude to, one fundamental issue that we always have to question the judgment of the approach that the government used in terms of the free SHS. Do you want to have more people going to education without necessarily coming out of it in terms of the quality that you expect? Because at the end of it now, the whole point of the SHS system, the free SHS system, is to basically shoot up the labor base in terms of the know-how labor base of that will basically push the economy towards where they want the economy to be. But that could be problematic if you just pushing people, and that's what I said, pushing people who are coming out without a skill set that is required for them to be able to, tap into those sort of areas that you expect them to. So that is one fundamental problem that the free SHS scheme, as it stands now, is going to create, because you have to still remember it's 5 years only, so we still haven't been able to get people coming out of, unless maybe the argument could be so we SHS now, so to me Juma. What I say, if the argument is on that level, say we SHS now for 3 years, they say, then we expect you to say one team and university are going to other areas of the economy. So maybe you start your own enterprise or polytechnics or whatever. But the point in my perspective, can the impact of those that actually went through the free SHS be measured in terms of the quantum, the value base that they bring into the economy? It is too early now to make those sort of judgments, because we still don't know how many of them have actually, because none of them has finished university. If they go to university, they haven't finished, and none of them has actually, maybe some of them will be perhaps creating their own enterprise, but there are no data to be collecting, to measure whether the impact of those is. So it is a difficult, but now what is telling, which is very clear, say we have a significant, serious problem with the free SHS is the way the management of it are. Because there has been, we have talked about this in so many times in here, so many problems which has arisen out of that. One of them being the numbers could not match up with the facilities that are available for the students to be able to use those facilities, and therefore they're creating the systems where some people go sit home for some time, and then so you now can make judgment. Would that necessarily bring about the quality that you expect in that? Perhaps not. And I will make an argument, say definitely not. In the beginning, this is something that we've talked. I am always of the view, say, if you want to implement a policy like that, now you need to have your foundation correct. But it looks like it's a political angle or political decision that the government decided to make for engineering purposes. And they just basically went without necessarily having checked the fundamentals, and those fundamentals are actually as strong as it should be. And I'll borrow Dr. Bawumia's word: if the fundamentals are weak, already you'll see
The exchange rate will
will
expose
expose you. But this one, if the fundamental are weak, what exposes you, the students on you know, they will expose you. So and the argument could always be made. Say, if you look at it holistically, I can definitely say the SHF free SHS system has been a shambles, and it purely based on what we expecting it to come out of it, which unfortunately we're not getting.
Your main call Imaso say free SHSC, I know Sami has given us a wider platform to explore it, and it's too early for us to, as he rightly said, for us to measure whether it's been a success in terms of how it has cushioned or we've been able to put the right people at the different sectors been able to absorb that kind of skill set, you know. But yen share prof ni analysis or yeah, you know. Or say out of 720 senior high schools you know, and he is looking at a medical school. Only 110 of them have had their student make it to the two traditional medical schools, that is Kwame Nkrumah University and obviously University of Ghana. And sir, your sharp prof analysis, yeah, or yeah. Unfortunately, from the research, you know, how much before we know how many students from all these 720, you know, were able to kind of produce students, they were able to make it to the medical school. But it's very kind of easy for me or tempted to believe, say, if somebody used the word only, that means it's most likely say we have lesser schools producing students who qualify for medical school. And on that level, no, I think it's fair for us to kind of make that assumption, and I said do that analysis and say whether the free SHS has been successful in producing medical students. I'm not even saying medical doctors, medical students or people who make it to the medical student based on prof analysis. Yansha Ghana Education Service, I know from Bismarck way or the Maya, you know, right now the basic school is struggling. It's been neglected. And if the basic schools, you know, they don't have the resources at the basic side now, which is the foundation, you know, at the free SHS level, you know, that means that my prayer and for them to get that free SHS, you know. So it's fair to say, okay, in conform making it to the medical school is because the basic school has been neglected. Do you think that this free education, MPP did it the right way? Should I have started from the basic school, or you think that it's right for them to look at it from the middle, which is the free SHS? And as I was saying, almost start from the basic to probably JSS and.
Nana, thank you for that. Let me say, I've said on this platform many times, say the whole free SHS system is a shambles. You see, Nana, when you talk about quality of education, right? The quality stems from three key things. First is what is the teacher that is teaching the child just delivering to the child? But the child is the end product. The teacher is delivering to the child. So the teacher, for him to deliver, need resources and tools to be able to deliver that quality. Right? What is, we are social animals, so what is the environment that that child is learning within? Now, if you go to Nana Brain 2 JS senior high, Nana Brain 2 in Enchi. That was my former junior secondary school that has been converted to just like Kimbu. If you compare that to Achimota, the facilities in Achimota, facilities in Fantipim, facilities at Wigehe, then you see why Professor Ivan Arai Mensah is actually pinpointing some of these schools as the only ones that have been producing 50% of our medical students. Right? So the point is, we don't have the resources, they don't have the tools for the teachers, right? And the facilities are not available.
But the question somebody will probably pose is, even in the West, and let's take United Kingdom for example. I know obviously our education system in terms from primary to secondary school is well resourced. However, schools are always crying for funding. So you can never produce enough. So that's what somebody can argue, say. And even the West, the whatever, do not have enough.
Nana, the fingers are not all equal, and that is how God created the world himself, right? From the day one, we are not going to be all equal, because if you come here, we have our private schools and whatever here still, right? But at least the basic fundamentals are in every single school. I don't know if you've heard Ghana Education Service went to apologize to some chiefs in one of, I think, Western region. For the school going on demonstration, that they don't have chairs to sit on, plastic chairs without tables, that the children carry to school and go and read. Nana, how do you expect this child to be able to make it to Achimota? How do you expect that child to make it to a place like Wegehe?
Medical school.
No, you go to the secondary school first before you think of medical school. He can never step there. And these other schools are the ones those ones are the ones that are resourced and can produce, right, good students that can qualify, have that confidence to sit, because you don't have a lab, science lab. How are you going to do your physics practicals, your chemistry practicals, your biology practicals? How are you going to do them? And they are part of your exam. You see what the problem stems from? So the problem stems from the fact that we have not resourced the schools. Look, this community day schools we're talking about, right? That what do you call him? Mr. Mahama, President Mahama came to build. Nana, I think what we needed to do was rather invest in them and resource them better. The money we are using for this free education should have been used to resource them better. And I'll tell you, we can cut across a lot of schools. Let me give you a typical example. St. James Seminary School in Sunyani.
Yeah.
You know, it is the topmost school in Ghana at the moment. They've run for about 3 years, producing top grades for their students. What is the reason? It's a Catholic school. It was a seminary, but they have the facilities. And the discipline is there because the Catholic school was providing everything. Almost all their teachers are fathers.
I mean, the Catholic Church.
The Catholic Church, yes. Right. So what you see there is when the facilities are there and you have well-resourced teachers, right, which made them quality teachers, and they are happy, children will always perform. But if you come to a side of the coin where everything is that we are waiting on government don't provide anything, and if you look at those schools, all those schools were either built by the missionaries, right, or built by the Gold Coasters. I mean, the British government. Look at it properly. It's only those schools that are performing. The ones that were built by, our later government, whatever, are not doing anything. But the question at stake is, how did we resource those schools? And I think that is the challenge we are facing now. And Nana, seriously speaking, you're resourcing from the bottom up. I'll tell you, we are going to do much, much better.
So are you arguing, sir, or am I tempted to believe what you're trying to say? Instead of the free SHS, they should rather concentrate on the basic schools?
Not just concentrate on the basic schools, but reinvest in education holistically. Right. Holistically in the sense that they don't have even syllables and textbooks for the teachers to read before they come and deliver. The teacher must read and understand to be able to deliver to the child. But these things are not there. The teacher has to use pocket money, right? Fuel also you have to see. The teacher not only in the mind if you don't for this book, so control be there. No, he might not do it. And no chance or no so on class more or no could but if we have this money, the so-called free SHS funds, and the resources, even this new SHS and the be a basic side, because you are talking of education service, right? Yes, you see, it are proper laboratories and whatever. It are some buses from schools be a work to transfer the children from the towns to the school. Your point one and whatever. Nana, we were going to do better than we saying for now. Say is free education. Therefore, you are investing in it. We are third world country. That is the point I'm making. The numbers, yes, we all be happy to get the numbers. But the quality is much more important than the numbers. Because after here, you get only dams in the system. So we have to look at the numbers in its the quality in its entirety. And not just the numbers. So Bianco's could be. I think what do you call him? Rollins, adult education.
Yeah.
When you are 21, 22 or whatever, you can go to adult education and still educate yourself.
But those time, that adult education was set up purely for those people who did not have the opportunity. They did not have the opportunity. But now, what the government is trying to do is to create that opportunity for everyone.
That's a good argument, Nana. But the point is, why do you have to damn the quality so that everybody is on a certain scale that probably, I'm not saying certain for sure. I think Sammy said it. These will not come out of university yet, so we can't even judge fairly. All right, let's put that in context. But say you build additional schools with facilities like Kwaboche, facilities like Augustine, facilities like Achimota. In those other schools, I'll tell you, you see talent. Now, let me give you, I have a typical example of one of my own nephew, right? He's head of mathematics in one of the secondary schools now. This is a child who has to walk 6 miles in, 6 miles out from a cottage to a school, and even a village school.
Was it Inchi?
Was Inchi, to be precise. It was Inchi. The boy struggled, went to this Nanahamaa secondary school. He was there. I said, no, this boy, looking at how he's been and being able to even qualify JSS to get into secondary school, I think this guy has a potential. So I brought him from the village to Accra. He went to West Grammar, finished, went to teacher training college, and went to university. Now he's head of mathematics. And now when I see the young man, I feel so excited. The talent in the young man when it comes to mathematics, he missed first class by just an inch in mathematics. Not on any other side, but mathematics. And we all know what mathematics is, especially at that level. But that's what he did. So the point is, you have talent, but the resources are not there. You don't have quality teachers to go to those villages because government is not providing. And teachers might even not like to go because there's nothing there for him to, look up to, with his family to go and live in that cottage or something. So we can only get maybe some SSS boy who has finished and they put him there as a support teacher. These are the challenges I expect us to invest into, rather than politically just coming out and say free SHS for everybody. Therefore, we clap for you. We didn't think through these things properly because we still need the quality. You need the schools to be there before you can even talk about what is going to be education. Without the structures, we can't get anything.
Yes, so we need to get the bases right. It must say basis. And here is not about mass production. Rather, we have to look at the quality, not quantity. Quantity need here. And what was it draw great to me here adult education? That should be how much actually I can guide. Our time check at the moment is 42 minutes past 6. Yeah, time Nejania also be to make the war ideas and your views about on 0208 144 8773. 0208 144 8773. Ubomi Punuma Mejo so Monfanche, and then we have few technical issues. Ain't Munian Mamugu Facebook many messages in the baby, but I'm sure you'll be able to follow us on the audio. One last story before say your best story so no. Said dear Kosu now we talking about sika and who ayedin pa enuntina yen to me and funded free SHS, a free SHS. Now, one other story about because this is not the first time I've heard this, was the government to eliminate ghost names from the payroll. A finance minister and Edisa Asemi was the finance minister Ken Oforiatta has stated that the government will conclude on the ongoing policy of eliminate ghost workers from its payroll, addressing the media on the measures to reduce the economic hardship. He said This exercise is expected to be completed by the end of December 2022. And the Vice President, Dr. Muhammad Baumia, on April 20th last year, assured Ghanaians that God's names on government payroll will soon become things of the past. He has government in building a digital ecosystem in terms of providing the government service, including passport and driver's licenses acquisition, that will boost the development. And this goes on and on and on. Apart from Ghost names, crunchy on him. Another thing that the finance minister has come up this week and it's a year university lecturers. You might be your money every show. A payroll, so not as a invest for nankasa afande omo and na yes here don't get ya we are killing two birds with one stone. What about I say minority for any the omo play the issue because I dey kra mo say go phone to me ntia mo school fees mo free SHS na ve omo we na so mo pa ko do invest here since ya mo ntia lecturers e card here that means yeah the carnival have two school for so that means I say I cannot mind you free SHS be trying to triple at the university because university everything is if students have to pay for tuition fee now it's going to go like really high. Mama story, starting war a year so. When you heard about, and I want you to touch on and on both stories, ghost names, me tell you, and na digitalization, and as is and then Ghana card, and at the end every day you ghost name it goes to Corona, so that's what the Ghana, why Samaya, well, room and as some bomb to Ghana, they beer or Jessica. Now, besides Ghana Sicano, akɔhoma sika na enum sɛ nso yɛn ba obeko minister bi fie na VAT mienu na si hɔ ɔno nko ani ba ko no no anso ne bodyguard be ze miensa bi ɔmo nyina ho ka no sɛ bi kra mpa nke yi firi mu a nke betumi kra a sponsor nkwala be 10 bi meanwhile ghost names ye ba bekom na de hyase sisi anso yesi university lecturers krampo no ye dwene ɔmo ze be yom every payroll so what say me give me your reaction.
You know me that say I wanted to touch on the university one first. Then I remember the minister did mention about what they intended to do in regards to winning the public them offer, because they wanted to there will be a block grant that will be given to the university. So the only problem is you need yeah, but the logic of what they're trying to do, which in a way I have a small kind of a sympathy for the finance minister in the sense because when it comes to the university can, because it's at the tertiary level, parents that you send your case to universities, their understanding is as it is in Kromhano, it has to be self-funded by the receiver of the education. So the modalities could be as Kromha, you assess finance, fund your education. When you are in employment, then you start repaying back your education.
But so we bet to argue say a Chrome has a they compare Ghana no. A Chrome hano abani bet your school fees at the time bewa kopim time be university. And na a Chrome hananka sankasano upa university no upa obeko one kwa you be okay.
Yeah.
Ghana majority of students here produce your money. So one co university will line and poverty level no line over pass ye pioneers.
Well, I mean, there is always a case for the issue of free. To what extent would you be giving things for free? You know, judging on looking at the level of the economy and as to whether the state has the funding for it, because the fundamental problem in that is the issue of the free SHS, which is now going to kick in more students going to the university, and therefore the government, funding for the university has to also increase, which goes back to the point where government hasn't got enough resources available. So my argument is, if they say that there's a block grant that they're going to give to the university, then that block grants to which, depending on how much money they're going to give them, but also the university have to be self-sufficient in a way where, like, we make the argument for the fees aspect of it, parents will have to now fund some part of it for the tuition, because most of them with this, in terms of the welfare aspect of it, there are a lot of students that perhaps might get the residency for free, but maybe pays. I mean, I'm just making the argument for
residence for free. Okay,
so the point they say is that I say, if there are modalities around this, which I remember when we were in the doing even university, we were getting grants. Anyway, those ones were free. You don't have to pay them back. Students we pay back.
Have you paid yours? Have you paid yours?
I think I asked a good question.
Have you paid yours? If you haven't paid, somebody's pension is.
The argument that I'm making is with the issue of funding at that tertiary level, it has to be you assessing the university education. You have to bear some cost of it in terms of you funding it. The approach that government used, also I am in favor, kakra, because I don't think it works well for an ailing economy or a distressed economy like Yang Africa is not available for you to also take on those aspects and then be continuously funding. Because the public person, we know it can stretch to always a certain limit. You can't go more than what you can actually make those expenses on. So if it is managed well, then it will be something that I don't know how it is will work, but it will be something that I think the self-sufficiency of the university to even start generating or creating some entrepreneurship around the whole university.
But don't you think that because when we talk about universities now, it's not just about tuition. The university staff and there's some they are not necessarily lecturers, but the admin staff and then their numbers sometimes.
The universities in Ghana are self-funded, and they pay their lecturers here very, very well. And the students that go there, they pay quite a lot.
But that is a matter of choice.
Yeah, but I'm coming. So what I'm saying is, if there is a little bit of cushion on the universities, so of course you pay exactly as you pay in private universities, but you pay some aspect of it. Let's say 3/4 of it, or less than maybe 15% or 20% less than what someone will pay at the private university. But you also funding your education. I think, the long-term approach of funding universities has to change, because with all the money that they have and everything, they realize one area that because when we came up from the backdrop of the recession, 2008, 2009 recession, and things were very, very difficult. They have to find a very difficult way of trying to move students away from their free the tuition that they were getting, to get students to get a loan and make payment. Even nursing aspect of it has also changed in a very way. So we have to find a way to fund the university, because it's not sustainable. You will put that sort of huge finance into it. Sometimes it does affect the quality of what is coming, because if the government in China needs to get enough, and therefore what the universities are require in terms of the funding, they don't get it now. They probably don't get money into research, which they need to carry out, and maybe resourcing. So there are some elements of it. So I can see why the finance minister is toning this angle, which I, in a way, am in favor. The other one that you asked,
ghost names.
The ghost name. Now you see this ghost name issue. I'm struggling, Kakra, to see, because when they started the digitization of the processes of the digitization issue didn't start from Pawomia. It was when the NDC was there. They brought these systems where the payroll system was make much more difficult for people to actually have the double names and triple and four names, And I was thinking, all those systems that were put in place, by now, we would have, overcome some of these challenges. So it is really of a surprise to me to hear the government say they are now stretching it by the end of the year, where they are now very confident that by that time they will actually get those ghost names out of the system. The merging of the Accountant General payroll and the NI National Identification Authority,
Yeah.
which is a laudable thing, but then I am just wondering, which we know said this is what needs to be done, and but something was done earlier, which we still haven't seen the results of it. Is this one of those things again?
Double handling
that,
it.
We're gonna have situations where even with the digitization of our identity and all of
You
that,
can manipulate it.
Exactly the point I made, because of the human element that's so forced within making those inputs into there now. Because the thing is more mental. The Ghanaian approach, the Ghanaian workers' approach of how can I find a way around things that I can make benefit from that. Maybe we are buying, or maybe the system too. That fundamental issue hasn't been resolved, because you can do all the digitization you want. If people say they're not going to follow the digitization, they will find a way of not doing it. But of course, we have to start from somewhere. And I'm just hoping that it is actually the case that by the end of the year, we're not going to have this, because we all know, say, the ghost name issue, that perhaps, I don't know what the figures are, it could actually create a situation where that money, can fund some medication in those rural areas. They say there are no chairs for people, and people are not going to demonstrations. So then I don't know. I'm very skeptical about this. I don't know whether this is going to happen or not.
Mamenko me muscle. And I always, when I come to you, and I always remember Inche. First class university products, and as somebody qualified for investing in a family or share Inche Caribbean, so not even Inche Krum, Inche Kurase. Maybe they are just peasant farmers or monisika. A buying CCCano. You have to, on top of now, university accommodation, it's not even easy. So a lot of people will be almost see hostels around, which is not cheap, that you have to pay for your own accommodation. Now tuition fee is going to be kind of put on parents. And now Obia Sebi in the first class of Beko University, said that how are we going to create opportunity for such families to enjoy university education and you free the poverty line? Because we all know that you say education now, but the fact that you can move out of poverty line through education is much quicker compared to other avenues. That is one. How we the government and they say CCR fee tuition fee about 2 parents so at points on my enjoy if SHS and they are used to it now. It's kind of, if not triple and quadruple, they're going to be paying more because university education is quite expensive. Besides, ghost names. Yes, so maybe about over 20 years I've been hearing about this ghost name business. Is it because our politicians are just playing with our intelligence and coming out every time be able to talk to us about ghost names and without doing nothing and so that they keep going back and Mami won't tremble.
That's it. Let me say education side of the Sami attach on it very, very exhaustively. And Nana, there is one thing, from a poor peasant farmer's son, who maybe by virtue of talent has fought all these odds up to a university level, maybe has a talent, right? I will suggest we look at it holistically. That's, in fact, over Kaimaka on this platform, we could, the so-called Crofona, everybody to get education, we could offer scholarship schemes to people in SSS. they are talented, but they are from poor backgrounds. Right?
But that has always been. It's always been the cocoa for the
cocoa for I was a whole farmer and I never saw it. You see, if you make a thing open, Nana, the problem.
If you are not cocoa, but now you are not clever.
This was at the
international international scholarship.
These are the problems. You see, these are the problems. So how do we actually allocate the scholarships in the system? Oh, Nana, what you're looking at? No,
I think just going back, that former education minister, that Prempe guy, no, he was also a home minister.
Most of them, most of them, but Nana, what we have to look at is, like you say, creative opportunities. No, Nana, I'll tell you, some of us have not been for education, no, London because I'm kind of Accra to be copy on I can say a interview of British Embassy. And these are facts of life. The reality is, let's create open opportunity. Now, in fact, when it comes to social mobility in life, no, research has shown that the best way to move socially is through education. If you are from a poor background, the rich man's son, it doesn't matter him going to school. They can get some funding to set him up as an entrepreneur. Can start some business and leave it for him to maybe just look for managers or whatever, and he'll be there. He's a shareholder.
He'll even employ the brains.
That's the point. That's the point I'm making. But when you are poor, you make chance on some opportunity. Let's look at somebody like Richard Branson. This was a chance on opportunity. He seized it by virtue of, his, how do I put it? His own ideas got something. But majority around the world has come through education. Right, to translate yourself from the poor social background to some sort of a middle class kind of thing and be able to maybe project your children further for another generation. Nana, and say you can't say share education, say Obia make your fees at the university level, then we're going to have a problem. My point is, yes, make it a university autonomous, just like Samir Khan. It's possible, and it will be possible and plausible two times. Because what happens is, government to be free, the universities will be able to then price their services, right? In fact, this country, that's how it works. But
would there be regulation for these universities because they can go rocket high?
No. This country, they stated you
cannot. No, I'm talking about Ghana. I'm talking about.
You cannot charge more than 9,000. Yeah. In this country, it is. Right?
I'm talking about Ghana.
That's what I'm saying. So Ghana should be able to do that as well. We have to look at it holistically. That should be within the context of affordability based on salaries or whatever that are paid to people. That is one. Apart from the price being set by the government or by, it shouldn't be the government person, but it should be an institution, maybe within the Ministry of Education, whatever, that will set it up. After that, there should be some sort of a proper loan company that will give loans to the students, right? And that loans, you have to look at it from two sides. There should be a grant element. In this country, it's not only the loans, there's grant elements. So government should still support some students based on their background. In terms of looking at your background, we think if you give maybe about 5,000 a year, 5,000 cedis in a semester, you can live on that. Your loan, you take your fees, you take loan from the school company and pay, from the loans company and pay. So we have to look at that balance. Otherwise, I'll tell you, the education will be for the rich. And that will be suicidal.
And the question now,
lose a lot of talent.
Maybe sir, have you paid your loan?
I paid my loan first before I left Ghana. Before I left Ghana, I paid my loan.
Sami couldn't answer the question.
Sami couldn't answer that question positively. I agree with you perfectly. Sami didn't answer the question positively. But, so Nana, if you are able to divide... I'm sure so it's easier. So Nana, if you want to create opportunity for our next generation, I'll tell you it is what we have to look at carefully and not just say they should pay the fees. But I agree, university becoming autonomous, it will be more competitive, and parents will choose courses and whatever based on what they can. But if you leave that to the system alone to decide, at least the poor ones will suffer. So there should be some sort of a scholarship scheme within the university. that within some kind of research that will benefit the country. And I think that will challenge some talented minds to generate some revenue to even support their education whilst they are in school. Because some students, even at first degree level, are so talented that they do marvelous things, let alone master's level and PhDs.
So they have to look at
that's what it is. So they look at it, and that will generate talented minds and entrepreneurs within our system.
We can't continue funding it.
Tell me your last words.
No, I
Okay.
Nana, once ghost names started from Kufo, not even from NDC. Kufo started ghost names.
Yeah.
Rollins and Co has put in so many ghost names and started. And ghost names has continued to today. Nana, have you ever seen any executive or let's say a manager or director of any institution having been arrested and put in prison for making sitting on ghost names? No.
But it's not a criminal offense.
It's not a criminal offense.
Yeah.
Why is it not a criminal offense?
It is.
Tell me.
It is administrative. So if the executive is not performing, it's a performance management issue. So either you get a person out of office.
Have you ever heard any of them?
Oh, okay. If that's the argument you're making, so you say prison, you can't put anyone to prison.
So, I'll tell you, but
embezzlement.
That's fine.
Okay,
there's
that
possibility.
Then
if somebody should create the names personally,
that one. Okay, that one. Yeah, I get it.
Right. So there are two sides to it. There's a criminal side of it.
Yeah.
But the point is, we have to look at this. From 2002, 2003 to today, we still have ghost names, and we are saying we are going to finish that in December. Somebody was mentioning our national ID cards. I'll tell you, the national ID cards, I was in Ghana. And national ID cards, I think the whole population, you have about 35% who has gone for that has it at the moment. People have gone for the ID cards 2 years and they can't get a card. They've gone for everything 2 years. My own sister,
and I know people
in that's the point. Go and pay and you get it. So how can that solve the problem?
Are you one of them?
Me, I don't have any. I want one. I don't have any. But I know people that
they go there the same day, they get it for them.
They get it to
the same day. You go there, they do it in the morning, in the afternoon, you go and collect it. But people are in Ghana for 2 years. Chase, you go there, they tell you it's in the headquarters. You go there and say, it's not come. 2 years.
No come, there is no come.
Right.
Sorry,
so the problem you have in Ghana is this ghost name thing has always been an excuse.
So could it be, sir, it's just a word and a phrase that these politicians use to kind of show that they're doing their work? Because it looks like they're double handling all the time. It keeps coming and just to stir people away, say, yes, we're doing some work, but it comes back to square one.
Nana, that is the problem we have as a people. Mr. Nunu has a word. The buck stops with the leadership. The leadership are not doing anything. They are condoning everything. Yet come out there to come and tell us that they are working so hard, and it doesn't make sense. The real thing is, this has been there and they know. We have all the service in Ghana. At the time, the audit service cannot do this audit. Quality audit. We have professionals in the audit service. Accountant general is just close to audit service. They can just move there, give them maybe barely some 3-6 months. They can do that. Maximum 6 months, they should be able to audit the whole Ghana.
Nanahemaa.
You agree the digitization will probably help a little bit in terms
but
of...
with the digitization,
I'll come to a point on digitization, but the digitization
Nanahemaa, because
if it is done properly, that's the point. And I make the NIA card is supposed to help. NIA card, NIA card can use it to travel to all the countries around the world. That's our politicians. That's how they behave. And these things have been there, and some of them are even benefiting. Their own people in the Ministry of the Education or Director of the Education or whatever. Maybe, I'm not saying I don't have fact, but maybe they're benefiting. For that matter, it's a matter of lip service that they pay to us. So at the end of the day, we have to just look at how do you solve economic woes and forget about these ghost names. They've been there since Adam. To me, I will state emphatically from Kufuor's time. They have done and every time they are there. Human beings put their names there. If somebody dies, why don't we produce just before the person dies? Why don't you get death certificate and whatever and just expunge the name from
Before
the payroll.
the person dies.
Just
Just after the person has died, so you can expunge the name from your friend is saying the payroll. And when normally AI say, just opinion the Juma. Who have we held accountable so far? Let me share that says obi a creative trainers be a chino Ghana and ya pamono that a beam man is what men can be that. And these are the issues I have to look at.
Why there? Meaning, some amount 50 seconds just to land because they'll say a day to any berry. 50 seconds.
In fact, in summary, make us say this ghost names thing, just lip service, as simple as that, nothing more.
Sammy, 50 seconds.
Yeah, just lip service.
Lip service. Yes, it goes names, no, a lip service. A time check at the moment, a year is almost 7:10 and time. Nedika Krebi Amana Broso, producer, wa prepremsa. This week, yesterday, show na Naija. Yeah, the Ukraine and your ma a cost war and this effect a war UK, NATO, EU, and to be specific, Ghana is no brodo isam. And who buy them because you can't run a produce wheat in everyone a Bismarck or what quadra so a year MPP delegate conference on my live reportage on my report me Florence hene or no coordinator on ne yenya bema a year yenya bema abuaje John or no so MPP mu Omanyina coordinator CCS protocol na any say also be first of form no afele we are no convert this year there say mafia pa onya mafia forget enya dia you bet to me enya sa well to me I go through crown about your coordinator ye free horn we discuss about the year security what Ghana especially CCR year arm robbers omo ato Ghana for asete to me yes wow ni pa krapo sa me ma de osa de we say is not enya news kra be e wo hoda da na nsan na say asa page na ho ye hu sa positive for CCR they all they've stopped some of them a positive for no meja so omo de omo ntare no ebe ma robbers no this year the omankasa the omani nkoje eye omankasa nua eye musama bulon a driver here or koya ye koyi ni 3 ma men na egu this is police service no this is something they tracking on very, very well. Yeah, free honey, we looked at the free SHS. A year, Professor Diamonds about out of 720 secondary schools, I won 110 and it to me produce a student qualify for medical school. Ghana, a year University of Ghana, and UST. Now, out of these, schools be or honor schools have been producing 50% out of some medical students here more qualify and this next or person choose no person be doctor nkwa say asem sebe one of those say schools or prempedi or bogehe or bachimata any union make ka and those schools no mutumi a produce students are more qualify for the intake a medical school Ghana. The free honey we looked at the lande adiana on free SHS says where are we you looking at the basic school because at the moment a basic primary schools soon primary school teachers almost soon for resourcing syllables any bibia na if free okra na MPP aban ya wabaya was this year no a free SHS no this year cry you show because this week school be out a Caribbean say demonstration ama aban na pa because enkrano omotete a form. And Obuka said this is not a story I yet for the first time because Sambekaya teacher Kojo, this is what he was really talking about. As this year in a dear meaning say your funny back or your friend back, but meaning says or try the winning sembri and na ye debris would na watch him. Since ya sister near Diocoso Yani Pitri in the hair and did you median na ABC and but may you a video no and free her uncle baby because right after this program a year inspirational hour Pastor Cook or the and more there and very inspirational messages be brought to prepare you ahead of a hectic week. Ubabe share a juma say a year a jua de ya. Ain't you want to mean keep your mommy Diane and Nanahemaa? ene obetime nkebie. Bye bye.
Watemele mana yengale no nyame boy. Apoloni chengwe ni bane kuni wa yeko ni wa ishi.